All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Big waves to you. Good to see you. Go ahead. If you want to punch, you want to just hands up in the air like you don't care. Okay. Good to see everybody. I'm going to let our waiting room this is exciting, man. We got people coming in, flying in, doing all kinds of stuff. So let us know where you're tuning in from in the chats and the comments. And we've been saying this, but over the next couple of weeks, expect that we'll have some guest speakers coming in to us. I'm still admitting people to the waiting room, from the waiting room. So, yeah, so expect some guests. We've had a lot going on the last couple of weeks, and so it's been a little bit of a challenge to stop long enough to do that, but you can expect it. So the word for today is fear. Fear. And if you look at the definition, it's an unpleasant emotion caused by a belief that someone or something is dangerous. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had something like that attacked you that was fearful in your life? I know the answer. The answer is yes, right? Think about when we were kids, growing up. But as adults, what's the thing that gets you? What is the thing right now maybe that fear is maybe attacking you a little bit? So hopefully we're going to look at this and draw some perspective. But my question to you is, and to myself is fear in an area holding me back? Because I wonder a lot of times how many people out there have gifts and talents from God, but they're not using them because they once maybe went after something and tried and failed. You know, a lot of us right now, a lot of us in this community are in sales. You know, we're in sales, and you reach out and you go after something and it doesn't work out. You get a negative response. Someone says no or boo. And it's like, how long does it take us to recover? Right? Because they just don't agree with us. And hopefully we can draw some perspective from this today. And I draw it. And if you followed me before, I talk about Lincoln's failure list. Have you ever heard me? Raise your hand if you've heard me maybe talk about Lincoln's failure list. Because I believe that if you look at this, and I love history and I love studying history, if you look at Lincoln's failure list, what do I mean? Abraham Lincoln, okay? But we can use it to inspire ourselves and other people to overcome life's difficulties. And I want to draw this up real quick for you. In 1832, just listen to this timeline. 1832, and I got it right here. 1832, I'm going to have to look at it because I don't have it memorized. Lincoln lost a job. He was defeated for the state legislation. In 1833, he failed in a business. In 1834, he was elected to Illinois state legislation. Now, I want you to think about this. So, lost a job, Valley. Failed in business, Valley. The next year, he come up out of the Valley and was elected to Illinois. How many of your lives are like this? Valley's peak, Valley, come up. So 1835, he just got elected. And then the next year, his sweetheart died. The next year, 1836, he had a nervous breakdown, right? But he was also in the same year reelected to Illinois state legislation. So think about this. I mean, there's some twists and turns going on. 1838, 2 years later, he was defeated for the speaker in Illinois. In 1839, he was chosen presidential elector, and he was also admitted to practice law in the U.S. Circuit Court. So another peak starting to climb up. 1845, reelected to Illinois state legislation. So now he's feeling it. He's got 2 years in a row. He's starting to climb, right? He's chest out, man. Things are going good. 3 years later, 1843, he was defeated for Congress. 1846, he was elected to Congress. Defeated, 2 years later, elected. 1848, he lost his re-nomination. He lost it. And then here's where it goes. Starting in 1848, another valley's coming. So he was rejected for land officer. 1854, defeated for U.S. Senate. I'm about done. 1856, defeated for nomination for vice president. 1858, again, defeated for U.S. Senate. 12 years in the valley. 1860, elected president of the United States of America. 12 years in a valley of facing fear, getting rejected, getting defeated, after a life of ups and downs, twists and turns, tragedies. 12 years in a valley, comes out elected president of the United States. And I think about this when I think about fear, and I go, man, the last thing I want to leave you with and turn it to Andrea is, so many times in my life, I get caught up in what people think, the way things are happening. Poor, pitiful me. I'm in a valley. What if it don't work out? And it holds me back. And one of the only things that gathers strength for me is I think about this older gentleman that once told me, and some of you've heard me say this before. He said, son, when you're facing fear of whether to do it or whether not to do it, whether to make the phone call, whether to continue making the phone calls to get to where you want to be in sales or in your profession or maybe in coaching, ask yourself this question. One day, when it's all said and done and I'm on the front porch rocking in my rocking chair, will I, good Lord willing, I'm sitting there and I'm rocking and I'm drinking a cup of coffee, will I appreciate the things that I fought through? Or will I be disappointed in myself for the things that I just kind of crouched down and said, you know what? I'm too scared to go after it. I think about that so many times. So, Andrea, I'm going to turn it to you. Great word. It happened to bounce on Friday, but for me, it's a word that we probably deal with each and every week if we're truthful to ourselves.
Well, fear, this is a great word for me because I am a human that can be absolutely controlled by fear. If you guys know me at all, I'm a little bit of a timid human. And the quote that I found that I just think is so powerful, where it says, the fears we don't face become our limits. And that's by Robin Sharma. And if you guys have heard me talk about this at all before, it's going on 11 years now. I made the decision to feel the fear and do it anyway, in little ways, big ways, but just to stop limiting myself, because what I was watching was that my world just kept shrinking, like from, activities that I wanted to do with the kids to places that I would go, because I didn't want to drive over. These are silly, guys. I'm sorry, but just whatever, you're going to get to know me. I didn't want to drive over freeway overpasses because they were too scary. I didn't want to get on an airplane because, well, I don't know the pilot. Like, what if what if they're drunk, right? So I had all these fears and my world was just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And I said, forget it. Like, at the time, I'm like, I'm young. I've got lots of life to live. I can't let fear control me. So that has made a huge difference. I feel like I've experienced so much more in life because I decided to feel the fear and do it anyway. But how? So for me, it truly is a battle. This is something that I have to I can't think of the word, attack constantly. But how can we be less fearful? So first of all, notice it. So what scares you? Maybe it's the weight of that phone, right? Maybe picking up that phone is the scary thing. Maybe it's spiders, maybe it's people, I don't know. But just take a moment to notice the fears that are holding you back, and to find some inspiration. So look around. We are all surrounded by fearless humans, humans that are doing things that would terrify us half to death. So look around, find those people that inspire you, and do whatever little thing you can to follow in their footsteps. Next, I love this one. Be willing to look stupid, right? Just, we talked about judgment yesterday, but I think people probably are a lot less judgmental than we think, because we're all selfish beings. So we're too busy looking in the mirror to be looking at anybody else, right? So just be willing to look a little bit stupid and realize that, trying to overcome fear can be a little embarrassing. Oh, I'll admit this is ridiculous, but I'm going to tell you guys anyway, because it's who I am. I literally used to fly with my sweatshirt on backwards. Like, I would wear a hoodie over my face, and I would tell myself, guys, just love me anyway. I would tell myself, you're just in a bouncy bus. It's a bouncy bus. It's a bouncy bus. And that was literally how I would fly. I looked like a lunatic, but I was on the dang plane. So now, thankfully, I don't typically have to do that. I might still be a little bit white knuckled, but be willing to look a little bit stupid to fight through that fear. Focus on gratitude. Even in those moments of extreme fear, we can always find something to be thankful for. So on that bumpy flight, if we're listing all the things that we're grateful for, the experiences that we've had, whatever it may be, it can really help lessen that fear and bring you back to a more grounded space. And with that, put it in perspective. So in the grand scheme of life, if you pick up the phone and the person says boo, like Coach said, is it really that big of a deal? Like, is it going to kill you? Probably not. Like, is that spider truly going to crawl out and attack you? I think so, probably. But if it does, like, is it going to be the end of the world? It's like the size of a dime. You're probably going to overcome that, right? So just put it in perspective. Are you probably going to drive off the freeway overpass? No, you probably aren't. So just try to realize the fear and then pull it back into perspective. And then 6, try hard things. So the higher your confidence, the lower your fear. So go be like Billy Grady and go run a marathon, or heck, move across the country, or whatever it may be. Do something that's hard for you and watch your confidence go up and your fear go down. And then lastly, give yourself grace. And I like to picture a kid in this one. So if you were looking at like a 4-year-old that's terrified of something, would you ridicule him for it? Like, would you be like, come on, kid, that's ridiculous. Gosh, I sure hope not. If you would, maybe don't hang out with children, right? But sometimes we can absolutely do that to ourselves, where we're just so hard on ourselves and we ridicule ourselves and we just insult ourselves for our fears. So instead, just give yourself a little bit of grace and realize that maybe your journey will take you a little bit longer, because you've got to navigate these things, but you're navigating, right? You're fighting through. So hope you guys all can feel a little fear today, but do it anyway, and have a fantastic Friday.
Andrea Rosser, thank you for that. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And here's the thing. We wanted to attack this word because we know we all deal with it. It's a part of life, part of growing, part of going through the valleys and the pinnacle points of our life too, because we go through both. But have a great weekend. We'll see you back on Monday. We're grateful for you. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Love you guys.
Hey,
Weekend.
guys.
Thank you.
See you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Happy Friday.